so that other people can access this. But I'm going to start by introducing myself to the general people who will watch this later, and then also to you, Harlan. So I'm Sarah Parker. My pronouns are she and her. I work as the customer service and support specialist at the Career Development Center at App State. So I've been doing that since February 18th. So I was on campus working with the Career Development Center for a month before we were kicked off due to COVID. So it's been kind of a bumpy ride and funny and really cool to work with these folks during this time. So this is one of the advantages of doing online work, is that we're virtual, and it's kind of fun having opportunities to do things like this. So that's great. Harlan, do you want to tell me a little bit about your background too, and kind of what brings you here today?
Yeah, so I graduated out in 2018 with a degree in communication, and since then I've kind of gone into sales a little bit for about a year and a half, and then I actually did work in higher education at Winston-Salem State for about a year, and because of COVID, my contract wasn't able to be renewed, but I was a recruiter there.
Oh, cool. Well, I'm sorry about that. I know that a lot of people lost jobs or are kind of searching a little harder right now during this time. So I hope this can be a little bit helpful for you as you move forward too.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And I see Jordan, he's one of my colleagues too, jumping in. Thanks for being here, Jordan.
You got it.
So we're going to jump right in. This is called What to Do When You Can't Find a Job. This is somewhat personal because I moved to Boone really to be here with my partner. And when I first moved, I couldn't find a job for a good amount of time, for about 4 months when I moved here. And I learned a lot over that time. And I've learned a lot in career development and things moving forward. And so I'm sharing some of that knowledge today, and then some concrete steps that we can take to kind of find that job, because sometimes we end up in jobs that don't fit our exact career path that we think we're going to do for the long term. And so it's hard to transition into new things or transition into something that's a better fit for us. So first I want to touch on this idea of your vocation versus a job. I think this is really important to start because when we make decisions, what motivates us is really, I think, that vocation. So vocation, as defined here, is an occupation to which a person is especially drawn or for which they are suited, trained, or qualified. The summons or strong inclination to a particular state or course of action especially. So that vocation idea being something that you feel more drawn to, something that you think all of your skills kind of lead you to. Maybe it is a helping profession. It's something that you feel like, oh, this is what I'm meant to do. A job being a paid position of regular employment. So a task or a piece of work, especially one that's paid. So really the job being the utility of, this is kind of how I make money in my life. And vocation being something that gives you fulfillment, something that you really feel like you're meant to do. I draw a line between those two things because I think it's important when you're searching and when you can't find a job, it often feels like you're searching after that vocation piece and you're missing it. And I think this separation is important because sometimes we do jobs that don't fit into our vocation perfectly. When I first moved to Boone, I ended up working in a retail place in Banner Elk, and I loved it. I sold linens. It was really fun. It was different for me. But my vocation overall, I went to divinity school for my master's, and so I have a master's in divinity. I was working in ministry before that and really see that as my larger vocation in life. And so it was hard for me at first to kind of decide on that job when my vocation felt a little bit bigger. But I think it's important to separate because sometimes we make decisions that just draw us to one or the other. And sometimes they align perfectly too. But when we're kind of in this long stretch of searching, it doesn't always align perfectly. So we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, right, when we're searching for jobs, especially when we can't find them. We want to use our degrees or to find the perfect job, and that kind of seems like the target. So using your degree, I hear this a lot from current students and students who have been out just for a little while who are searching for a job, like, you have an art degree and I don't use it anymore. You know, I don't actually use my degree. I think that the mindset that we have to have a lot of the time is that every single degree is useful. You know, all of our degrees, Harlan, I know you said communication. Communication is so versatile and so able to be used in all different kinds of ways. Like you've seen that through your, you know, different jobs that you've explained. I'm using a divinity school degree to do things like customer service because it taught me a lot about working with other people, listening to other people, and helping them problem solve. So there are so many ways that we put pressure on ourselves that's unneeded. And I think that there's a way that we kind of need to back off of that perfect job idea, because every job is leading us to learn more about ourselves and leading us to learn more about our skills and things to move towards. This is kind of a funny meme that Twitter just kind of came at me one day, and I thought I would include it just for a laugh. It says, if you were gifted and talented in elementary school, choose your path, and all of these things. And I feel that sometimes. I feel this pressure to get exactly into what I need to be doing, exactly what my target job is overall. But we have to really take that pressure off ourselves and say that these jobs are leading us towards learning more, moving forward more, and not always exactly in this perfect job realm. So we don't want to get caught up in the anxiety of job searching, all those things. Harlan, go ahead. I heard you say something.
I was just saying I really liked that.
Yeah, because I mean, I was talented and gifted when I was growing up too, and it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of expectation, and people said a lot about, oh, I know you're going to be great when you grow up. And I'm like, thanks, y'all. It's a lot of pressure. So next is, so this is kind of the first step, I think, on really searching when you've gotten into a rut of not finding something. You really need to take stock of your gifts. What does that mean? That's right, I'm awesome. Believe in yourself. This is a little bit of motivational speak, but you are awesome. There's so many gifts that we all have that we have to market ourselves in different ways. We have to know what those gifts are. So if you want to sell yourselves to employers, you have to believe in your gifts, because an employer is not going to believe you if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't know what those things are about yourself that are helping you stand out against other folks who are applying. So make a list. This sounds really stupid, dumb, easy, but making a list is, I think, the first step in really owning the gifts that you have. Sit down and think about those things that you learned in undergrad or maybe in a graduate school degree, something that you learned that may not just exactly be on your resume, but is a skill that you have learned over time. Like I said earlier, all of the degrees we do are useful in different ways. So I'm going to go back to an art major. You may not think that, you're going to work in a bank. You may not think that all of your gifts from your art major line up with what you're going to do in a bank or that kind of job. But there are things that parallel, and there are things that help equip you in every degree towards that, towards a it didn't look like to folks that this Master of Divinity really made a lot of sense for a lot of those things, but I had to work really hard at saying, no, these are the skills that I took out of that, even though you can't see that. Sorry, I think I went out for a second. Okay,
I see you.
Okay, great, thanks. My computer went funny for a second. So, and also the next step is match that up with those job descriptions. So when you see jobs that come up, you see things that you're going to apply for or that you're looking for, match it up with those job descriptions. Once you have that list, I think you can really figure out what those things are that are going to fit you better. Even if the job title doesn't feel like it fits you perfectly, maybe those things that are inside those job descriptions are really going to describe you and help you grow and become a better version of the employee that you want to be. So next step is know your elevator speech. And I think a lot of folks miss this when they start job searching and when they're really getting deep into job searching. It feels frantic at times that we just have to push our things out there, push our resumes and our cover letters, pass those on. But I think this elevator speech is a really big part of finding the job that you want, because a lot of this we're going to get to in a second is that networking piece of knowing people, getting to know people, and connecting to them on a personal level. For me, so the first step is that, who are you? So what do? You know, your name, what you went to school for, what your degree is in, maybe what your experience is, that kind of basic who you are is that first step. What are you looking to do? So what do you want from this person that you're giving this elevator speech to? Maybe you're looking to get into a higher education job that fits your gifts. Maybe you're looking to find a ministry that I can connect with young people and I can help them grow into their potential. So knowing what you're really looking for in that elevator speech, it's not just about saying all the things about yourself, but really what you're looking for. That helps people pinpoint where they're going in this conversation. And then next, what is a skill and a gift that will help you get there? So what are the things that, again, you can pinpoint from that list or from the gifts, that inventory that you've done of yourself, of this thing will help me get to this next step. And this is something that will look impressive to employers. They will see what I've done and they will kind of grab onto that. Think of your most impressive accomplishment and build from there. Yeah. So this next piece is networking, and elevator speech is just the first step of networking. We talk about networking a lot when we talk about career fairs and things like that. I think in this now COVID world, it's going to get harder to network because career fairs are going virtual. Now we're doing so much in the Career Development Center to connect students still with employers. There's good networking, but nothing exactly takes the place of that one-on-one conversation sometimes that you can have there. So I think that that's important. One-on-one conversations where you can move forward. This specifically is a strategy that I took when I was searching for jobs, when I really got to the point where I was like, I don't know if there are any things that are out there for me. And that's reaching out to an employer, employees, people who kind of have status in the target field that you want to be in. So ask for 30 minutes of their time to interview them. This isn't an ask. This is not a, I want a job from you. All these people don't always have a job ready for you to apply for right now. This is simply about making connections that will help you in the long run. Because as we know, as we're searching for jobs, sometimes you end up in jobs like I did in retail that I didn't know exactly where it was going to lead next. And I was looking for other things outside of working in retail long term. So this is a good way to kind of develop relationships long term so that people remember you. I found that 30 minutes of time is a lot for some business people, but also if you limit that time, if you tell them it's just going to be 30 minutes of your time, I'll bring you coffee. In our COVID world, maybe it's I'll come to Zoom and we'll make it quick. Some people are too busy for this, and I recognize that. And a lot of employers, I find, the ones that have the most passion about what they're doing, who care most for the industry that they're in, are going to take that 30 minutes of their time to meet with you. And I think those are the most valuable and important meetings that you have. Recently, at the Career Development Center, we've been doing online career meetups with employers as part of those panels. That has been really important to see how employers still want to connect with our students. So employers are coming on there taking sometimes between 30 minutes and an hour to 2 hours of their day to prepare and to be there and talk to students. That tells me they really want to connect with young people, that they really want to know what's happening. They want to get good people in their jobs. And those are the employers that we're looking to make connections with on this. Make it casual. Don't make it something that they feel like they have to prepare for. Just make it easy and learn a lot. Take that time to ask deep questions about what they like about their jobs. Like, what is the best thing that you've done in the past 6 years in your industry? What are the things that help you get out of bed during the day, every day? What do you think, how do you think your family fits into this? Things like that are deep questions that can help them talk about how they got in there. You're making a lot of connection here and helping them connect with younger folks sometimes. Sometimes it's just connecting with people outside of their industry. And these conversations, I find, are the ones that people remember when they're going to post a job, or when their friend says, oh, we have an opening at our firm. I wonder who we're going to get. If you have any ideas, let me know. These conversations are things that employers really remember when they move forward. Meeting you at a career, at a career fair could be, something that's really good for a short term, but that isn't always a long-term connection. And when we're looking at when we can't find jobs, when we're trying to make deeper connections, I think this is a really important key part of it. The last part is follow up. Send a thank you letter, send a Starbucks gift card to say thanks because I couldn't take you to coffee. Here's coffee on me next time. Something that makes them, again, remember who you are and remember the value that you could add to their company. There sometimes I did 5 or 6 of these interviews before I got any kind of bites of different jobs to be a part of, and when I moved to Boone. But I found that they were all valuable, and I had connections with people because of this. I found part-time jobs or part-time opportunities that are helping me build resume in different ways. So sometimes it's not always a full-time opportunity that comes immediately out of these, but I think it's a huge part of moving forward and finding a spot long-term in the chosen field that you want to be in. Next is, again, that networking piece, finding ways to interact with businesses in your target field. The Chamber of Commerce often has some open gatherings. I know in Boone, there's different times when folks from the community can come and be a part of these gatherings. Again, in the COVID world, it's been a little bit adapted, but these things are still happening. People are doing things virtual. And looking at those things, again, is another connection point so that you can get an end to those 30-minute meetings, so that you can have an email address so that you can reach out to somebody again. There's other organizations and groups that you can be a part of without having a specific employer or job. For me, it's been a big push of denominational boards and things like that, to have connection on a higher level, and so that I get to know people again who are going to have access to those jobs, be connected, and really know when those opportunities are coming open. And so again, I can have those 30-minute meetings, and I can move on to establishing a better connection with that person long term. I should have said too, if y'all have questions, you can ask as it goes, or put it in the chat, or also ask anything you want. So this next step is, I think, taking advantage of small opportunities. When I first started looking for a job, I was thinking very concretely about a full-time position. To be honest, I needed a full-time position. I needed benefits. I didn't have healthcare at the time because I had graduated from a master's degree that had given me healthcare or access to healthcare. And so I was kind of worried about this full-time position, but I said yes to some small opportunities. So I said yes to a chaplaincy position that's an on-call position at Watauga Medical Center, things like that got me connected to a larger group of ministers in town too, and to folks who worked at App. So I wouldn't have had this job here if I hadn't had those kind of connections to folks that worked in career development, worked across App, and kind of had those connections there. You never know where one opportunity will lead to another. Again, it's just like those 30-minute meetings could lead to a potential job offer in the future. These small opportunities, adding on to a journal article that somebody's doing because they want your expertise, or a volunteer opportunity that is with a specific company that just needs some other people who have ideas for that moment. Maybe it's a part-time gig for a couple of weeks that you're doing online digital merchandising or something like that, where you can help create online digital brands and you kind of get your name out there. anytime you can take advantage of those little opportunities, I think it leads to something bigger a lot of the time. And also, again, just gets more on your resume, gets you more experience in your field. So, but the second point of that is don't overextend yourself. So I said yes to too many things at first. It became really, really overwhelming at times. So don't overextend yourself. Take the opportunities for which you have the capacity. So even when you're not working a full-time job, this is a land right now of a pandemic. There are things happening all around us. It can be anxiety filling. You may have a family that you're taking care of and all those things. And there's just a lot going on. We need to take care of ourselves. And if you're not taking care of yourself, then you're not going to be able to job search effectively. You're not going to be able to do a job effectively. So don't overextend yourself, but take advantage of the things that you think that you have the capacity for, that you can move into, and say yes a lot. The last point that we're kind of wrapping up here is take advantage of the Career Development Center. We say this a lot, but I want to just hit home with, we have a lot of great resources. So these career meetups are part of it, but also alumni and students both can have interviews and meeting times with our career coaches and make time with people in our office. And I think those are huge opportunities. I did not connect to my schools after I left them, and I kind of regret that in a lot of ways, because I could have taken advantage of a lot of different things after I'd graduated. So we are always here for you. Our website says things like, we do one meeting for alumni, but in all actuality, we do a little bit more than that. We're always open to helping out, especially in the world right now where, like you said, Harlan, you've got their layoffs for different reasons, for COVID and things happening. There are budget cuts everywhere. We're, really here for our alumni and our students, so that they can get a good job and they can support their families moving forward. We're going to do whatever we can to help those folks. And so take advantage of the Career Development Center and call on us when you need help and when you need connections. I've also seen a lot of employers connecting with us personally lately. A lot of folks think there's not a lot of jobs out there. We have a lot of jobs listed on Handshake. And also we have employers reaching out to us every day that are asking for a specific person from a specific field. So reaching out to those career coaches is just giving you more touch points of somebody else who knows your name and knows your resume and knows your background, so that they can push for you to get that job or give you a recommendation for that. I think that's a huge piece. A lot of this is about networking, especially when you're kind of in that window of, I need to find a job and I've been searching for a while. I've done all the normal things and I've got to kind of get more creative. So that networking piece is going to be a huge thing moving forward too. Yeah, and there's our info so that you can stay connected. We are in the jet, but we are not there right now. We are all virtual, all digital. You can stay connected with us. Our phone number still works and our email still works. Of course, I'm the one who answers those. So you can always connect us through that and through Handshake and all those things. So that is kind of the end of what I have too. I want to know if y'all have any questions though, or any kind of things to add to what I said. I'm always happy to have something to add. Yeah.
Question actually.
Yeah.
Does the Career Development Center do you guys help with resumes and stuff for alumni?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, you can request an alumni account on Handshake, which is our online platform. At our careers.appstate.edu/alumni, there's kind of some directions there where you can request an account. I think you have to remember your banner ID, but if you don't, that's okay. We can find another way to get you on there.
You need to know your banner ID, but you can get that from the registrar.
Yep, I've already registered it.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And so through Handshake, you can schedule an appointment with a career coach. It's like in the top right-hand corner, just schedule an appointment. And when you meet with that career coach, they will go over resume and cover letter, anything you kind of want that to be tailored towards. So.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So definitely I didn't think about a lot of these things. Like I've been really hesitant for the small opportunities. You know, a lot of really good points about, taking advantage of those so that way you can build your resume up. It's definitely something.
Yeah. Yeah. So I said yes to, I think, 2 different opportunities before I actually got a full-time opportunity in Boone. And I had to, push that a lot because I was not willing to say yes. I thought it would tie me up. But it actually added on. Now I have 3 jobs, which is a lot sometimes, but are really fulfilling because I have these opportunities, a couple that are more in ministry. And then there's this job at the Career Development Center that really ignites my passion for working with people too. And so sometimes that saying yes, you can continue with that. And then that's going to help you in the long term, because we know that not every job that we get full-time is going to fit exactly in what we thought we were going to be doing. And those small opportunities are going to really remind employers that you're still working on that stuff. You're still working in that field that you want to be in, which is really cool.
Okay. And then I had another question for you. So I heard you say that you graduated with a master's. I'm actually trying to go back and get my master's eventually.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people who are going into grad school and or going into a field like opportunities can be kind of hard to get?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the good thing about grad schools is you have opportunities for things like graduate assistantships. And so that's really how I got this job at the Career Development Center, is because during my master's program, I worked in career development. We called it leadership development at Wake Div. And so at Wake Forest, I was able to do that kind of work, and that was on my resume for moving forward. So I think we take for granted sometimes that those smaller, maybe part-time jobs in a graduate school position are, maybe less than a full-time job or don't count as much, but I think they have a good amount of weight, especially if you have those folks who can be on your references and can kind of talk to those folks who you might have a long-term full-time job in the future and kind of sell you into those jobs too.
Okay. Do you think that you could apply like the same, you were talking about the asking for 30 minutes of their time with an employer, do you think you can apply the same thing to maybe somebody in the graduate department you're looking for?
Yeah, I think so. I absolutely think so. I think that, during this time right now, like either time is limited or everybody has unlimited time. It's kind of hard to see where people are. Some folks with like kids at home are struggling with like finding enough time in the day. And then other folks are really sitting around going, oh, I wish I could connect with people better. So yeah, I think you could reach out to professors that are in these departments, or especially folks who are in the grad school. They're always willing to help in grad school admissions. Yeah, and I think they'd want to sit down and talk to you and just say, I'm a prospective student. It doesn't hurt to try. Find their email from the website and just say, I'm a prospective student. Could I have 30 minutes of your time on whatever day? Here are the days I have open, and can we just talk about, this is my hope for this and moving forward.
Okay. And then I'm sorry, I know I'm like.
No, but I love this. I love interaction. So I'm glad you were here.
So just, this is my last question. I'm in a field, with communications where I fortunately have the flexibility to do a lot of different things. They taught us a lot of different things that we could do, research, video production, writing, a bunch of different things. In my particular situation, I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place because I have so much to choose from that I don't know how to narrow myself down and sell myself to employers. I think that's where I kind of fall short at. So
Yeah.
do you think that, people who are having trouble selling themselves, what advice do you have as far as what you can do moving forward to try and work on that?
Yeah. Oh, I think that's a really hard thing when you have a degree that's kind of in the general, they say general range. I don't think it's general. I think communication actually is very hard and very specific in a lot of ways, but people see it as general. I was an econ undergrad, and so finance makes sense sometimes. Accounting makes sense. Econ doesn't always make sense to people. So I had to work at that a little bit too. I think a really big tip I would give is when you're applying for these jobs, looking at the job description, looking at the listing, and kind of pinpointing different things, language that they're using in the listing that you can put in your cover letter or in your resume to really highlight what you've done. So if they say, you know, something about like customer service and working with people, then you're going to pick that out of what you can do and put that in your cover letter. A lot of these bigger corporations actually have like a data mining kind of approach online. When you submit those things online, they go through and see if they have those keywords. They have keyword searches for all your documents. Oh, wow. And so they will see those keywords in your documents, in your cover letter, and in your resume to pull out. So I think that's, you know, first you need to know your skills. So believe in yourself and believe in those things that you really can own and say, I'm really good at this, but also pick out of those job descriptions, those words that you can use yourself so that they know you've been listening, that you've paid attention to the job description, and also that you have those things that they're actually looking for. I think that actually pulls out a lot more than people think.
Okay. Yeah, that's really great advice. I didn't really think about that.
And Sarah, if I may add something to that, just
please.
from personal experience. Hi, I'm Jordan. I also work in the Career Development Center. I'm in employee relations. And I don't know if this is an industry tried and true thing, but like one thing I've done in the past is I'll go through the job description and literally make a list of the traits and attributes that qualify one for the position. And it's like a checklist, and then I'll go through my resume and cover letter to tailor it a little bit more towards that job as much as I can. It definitely takes more time. But I mean, it eventually worked for me. I mean, obviously it wasn't 100% success rate, but that's just something I've done. I've found it to be helpful.
Yeah. Students often come in and they're like, here's my cover letter into the Career Development Center. And I'm like, that's it for everything? Like they think that that's, you know, one can go for everything. And I'm, you know, I think a lot of us realize we have to kind of tailor it, but I have you should see my Google Drive and how many resumes and cover letters I have saved for all the jobs that I applied for.
Same.
Before I got one. I was in Boone, 39, just so you know, wow. 39 jobs. So I wrote, and I had, you know, a customer service resume and a, you know, ministry resume and, you know, all different resumes for different things. But I ended up really editing, like Jordan said, for each place. And it does take more time, but when you're looking for a full-time job and you haven't found it, it gets a little bit more tedious. And I think you just have to work a little bit harder than you thought you were going to have to. And so
yeah,
put it in.
I think it's going to come right into your lap that you got the perfect resume, the perfect cover letter. Yeah. That's a great point, especially about the resume. I didn't think about tailoring it towards the job that I'm kind of applying to. That's great advice.
Yeah, that's just like in your bullet points, you know. Sorry, I don't mean to hijack your meetup, Sarah.
No, you're not at all, Jordan. This is great. I love
obviously aren't changing like your experience and stuff, but I would often add a bullet or reword a bullet just to be more in line with the job description.
Yeah, that's great.
And sometimes it'll jog your memory and you'll go, oh yeah, in this job I did do this and this and this too. And you hadn't listed it before because it didn't feel important, but for that job, it's going to feel more important because that's what they're looking for. So I found myself actually expanding some of those bullet points just because I was like, oh, I didn't remember that I did newsletters every single week for this youth ministry that I worked for until this job said that I would have to design online newsletters. So.
Okay. Wow, this has been really informative. I've literally taken notes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for coming. And I'm so glad that it was helpful for you. This is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm definitely probably going to be reaching out to the Career Development Center to see if I can start scheduling some stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, we'd love that. We're always available and always want to help alumni, especially. So.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being here. Thanks, Jordan, for you being here too. And I'm, just happy that we had a good conversation and that we could be here today.
Awesome.
Thank you, Sarah. Good job.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.